Welcome, welcome, welcome. Last session for today. And we have a fun session. We discuss about the future of UX. What's coming next? For this, I have 3 speakers right now here. I want to welcome Guy Hatton, please. We have Verena Seibert, our psychologist, and we have Nico Licht from SAP. And our 4th, from a real different area, is Joe Lancicero. He's also coming to the stage as, yes, of course, you're coming. He didn't know anything about it, but he's coming from a real different world, and he's discussing from his side.
Okay.
And we have one more chair here, and we play the game, my right chair is free, I want to have. And you can play this game, and you can choose anyone from here, from the room.
Anybody who wants to join? Lance, please. Why not?
So it's really an open discussion today. And my first question is going in the direction of the whole, so welcome Lance. The first question is really short, that you know everyone, that we make a short round, who you are, what have you done in the last 30 years, and then we go into the first questions.
Okay, quickly. Hi, I'm Joe Lancicero. I spent most of my career designing theme parks, cruise ships, and things, and didn't understand or know that I was doing UX until this man told me what I was doing was UX. And it changed my life. And thank you.
Yeah, I also have to thank Hannes, but I will stop with that now and do it later then. So I'm working for SAP and lead the design team working on business applications, like in our area, the platform technologies of SAP.
I'm Verena Seibert. I'm a psychologist. Thank you. I'm a psychologist, and I've been working in the field of usability and UX for 30 years, consulting with numerous companies on making their systems usable and psychologically safe.
I'm Lance Strong. I'm from Canada, University of Lethbridge. I'm trained as an industrial designer. That was close to 30 years ago. At the same time, do 3D animation, designing for interface for virtual reality, etc. Ends up teaching new media design at the university. But I have a lot of experience when I was as a grad student, as well as later my first job, collaborating with scientists, with artists, movie makers, etc. So do this kind of diverse, experimental kind of project. And all summarized into, to me, is interactivity, UI design. So right now I'm trying to come up with a new understanding of it. And learning from the conference, everyone here. Okay.
Hi, I'm Guy Hatton. I've worked in creative agencies in London, and most recently I'm in the Middle East working in a technology consultancy.
Thank you. So the first question, we all know that the peak of UX was at around 1 to 2 years ago. Where is the UX economy going? And right now it's decreasing a little bit. Is it also going next year that maybe people have to search for jobs, big companies don't hire UX guys? What's happening right now? And where we are going? What do you think? What's your opinion, your experience right now? Who wants to start?
I can start then. So I would say at SAP, we see a trend that if you're very experienced in your role, then it's very good for you, because we're searching for experienced people. And before I get into the domain of UX, starting with business savviness, basically. So you really have to understand how business works and how to work with stakeholders. And then we see also a trend in the discipline of UX towards research. So working with data, be it SUS, PSAT, and then also know very well how to conduct user research. And maybe a bit more, like when we look at the famous double diamond. The big trend is to stay longer in the problem space, really know how to frame the problem right, and then, take out your creative superpowers and work on product visions and pitch these visions in front of your stakeholders and customers.
Based on just what I've heard today, UX is bigger than its definition. And I think the diversity of all the different disciplines, again, just based on what I heard today, and when I say it's bigger than its definition, if you don't call it UX, which then puts it in a box and says it's this thing, but if you use all of what that thing is and then apply it across all these other things, I think it's just going to grow and get bigger and bigger. So do you understand?
Yeah.
Taking the title away in some ways opens up the world of what UX can be.
I totally agree to you. I would say it's, if we talk about UX design, it's not really dead, but it's really decreasing. If we say we have to involve the users and we have to make things more safe for the user and be more human-centric, that still works. But the term UX is definitely having a hard time at the moment, I would say. Yeah.
Just giving a perspective from in the Middle East, where the use of the word designer isn't being used in jobs at the moment. They aren't looking for designers. They're looking for product people. So there's a shift from that, from being, are we looking for visual designers who can make things look good? So we need things to make from a product level. And I think that indicates a shift to being more focused on the business. Now, is that looking at the user side of things and being UX focused? I'm not sure what that is, but it is moving away from saying we need someone who can design and make it look good to someone who needs to understand the business behind it, whether it's the business or it's the user part of that. I think that's the shift that's happening.
Thank you. My perspective is mostly recent experience in teaching in the classroom to students who are newly come to college and also non-design major, non-art major. So they're diverse, could be business, engineering, etc. So how can we quickly communicate the idea of design to them to show them what design is about and also what the UI UX interactivity is about? It came to me as a challenge is we miss the linguistic component in a language, in human natural language. We don't have that kind of lingo to quickly communicate that in an interdisciplinary setting. So my hypothesis could be the next stage of the design profession, especially the UI UX. And a lot of people don't like UI, but I personally think UI UX is still together. Depends on how you frame it, how you consider it as a system. Then, including the word system, is language, is human language. It maps different meaning to different person. Then, in the interdisciplinary communication, we lost in the interpretation. That might be the most challenging part at this moment. So I would say probably two things. Number one is we need to invent new mental model to facilitate the interdisciplinary communication. And also we need designers to be involved in the invention of this mental model. So the new design is no longer about wood, concrete, steel, or electronics, but also cognitive as well as psychology, which is language could be very, very natural because next thing is probably AI, right? The interface right now is language. So maybe the next generation of designers, immediately, we need people to understand all these domains. And we're into designing philosophy, we're into designing psychology, previously considered as science. Maybe this is the time we consider the designer need to get involved. Yeah, so that's my
Okay,
perspective.
thank you. Thank you for the first round. I heard AI really often, and I heard also in our discussions AI, and a lot of people have the fear to lose their job because Figma is doing the whole screens. I heard before tools are developed without doing anything, only with I need that, and it's done. What's the future of a designer in comparison with AI? Should we be afraid of AI, or is it again another tool which we have to use to become better and do other things at the end?
If I may start, I think we don't have to be afraid. It's a tool, and we are going to learn how to use it. Definitely, a couple of jobs will be required less. So very basic UX design stuff. We will always have people checking what the AI does. It will never work. I don't think it will work that AI does great designs on its own. But we will always have the people checking what is done and having the strategic mindset on everything and looking from a strategic point of view. So we don't have to be afraid. It's just a tool.
Yeah, I would say in software engineering, if you look at the past until today, you would say it's a maker space. Regardless if you are a designer, product manager, engineer, you make things. And then you ship these things. And this is why we had a measure in the past, output. And a successful company can ship many things. And we are changing from a KPI perspective, it's more difficult than output, but we are changing towards outcome. And in that regard, it's no longer important to make things, but make meaningful things that provide outcome. And in that regard, I would echo what you said. We shouldn't fear technology because the technology is just an assistant for us to make meaningful things.
I'll just echo what's already been said. But I'll add that right now AI is AI. It's everywhere. I mean, it's like you got to jump on the AI bandwagon. It seems like everything is AI assist. So, like so many things, it gets amplified for the moment, and it's a pendulum swing thing too. So at some point, it's gonna find its place, and I think the place is it's just another great tool that we have to embrace. It'll probably evolve, and in the way we use it and the way we think about it. But just like any other technology, it's here. Let's calm down a little bit, take a step back, let things kind of evolve, and find out where it's going to go. I think it's an ongoing thing, but we shouldn't be afraid of it.
Yeah, I think that to be afraid of AI at this stage is something that you can't do because I think, as everyone said, it is a tool. If you go back to the concept of using tools for creativity, and if you say, well, I'm going to go and airbrush something. Now, everybody here thinks, well, airbrush, well, that's in Photoshop. But that's not the truth, because an airbrush is a physical thing that exists, and it existed. But we all have taken that on to say, well, an airbrush is a digital tool in Photoshop. That is AI in itself. So we have been using this, and this is just the next level of that. The change that's happened is that our ability as humans to interact with complex systems is what's happened. So it's the interaction point. The fact that we can just talk to something and just have a conversation and suddenly all this stuff happens, and the fact that it can then communicate back to us in a very elegant way has changed where we are. So it's an experience revolution that's happening now. The AI has been able to do lots of these things, but it's all just been in a black box. It's our ability to engage with it that has changed. We will use AI as a tool, and just as design was digitized 30 years ago from physically drawing and painting into Photoshop and other tools, this is now the next phase of that, where instead of using a tool like Photoshop, you're just going to be able to interact and create these things in a different way. So will it then go and take jobs? Yeah, it'll take a job if you're not going to learn these new tools. If you want to stick using the old tools, then you won't have a job doing that, but you will need to use the new tools. So it will take jobs, but that's nothing to be scared of, because it is the future.
Thank you. I think that's a really, really great point, especially if we can relate AI to a tool as simple as an airbrush in Photoshop. That is tremendous analogous way to compare, I would say. So myself, I use Photoshop, of course, and I use Maya as a 3D animator. Clearly recall, especially the early days in using Maya, there are a lot of chances in taking the risk. There are a lot of unknowns. Even, when you render a simple sphere, if you don't have the polygon set right, it turns out to be really coarse. But it's the default settings that is not set in an optimistic, kind of optimum way. So that kind of learning is almost like taking chances. And you can also say that's the 3D animation software is hallucinating. Just right now, we're complaining about AI as hallucination. Maybe just this is common way we build tools that are never perfect, and it's also a human capability to adapt to the tools we build, right? So we cope naturally with any kind of hallucination in any type of tools we have. So maybe.
Thank you so much. I have another question, and then I also ask if you have some questions. We have a theme park designer, a manager, a psychologist, a teacher, trainer in the university, and a consultant UX manager. There are so many different skills. The question for me is, and we talked about UX is really huge, what are the core skills of a UX designer in the future? Are there some skills we all have in common, which we really have to understand the whole area? Or are we all different UX designers with really different skills?
Yeah, I would look at T-shaped people, like always. So that helps in that regard. So, and I would say you don't have to come from and I go back to my maker analogy. So makers can be product managers, engineers, or designers. And that is one, they can come from all disciplines. And then if you look at UX, I believe it is important to be curious, to know your tool set, do research right, have the right problem framing, and be the advocate of the end user. This is what I say. Hopefully, in my opinion, all designers need to have in common. Because when I look at every company on the planet, then I have product people shipping products, salespeople selling products, have corporate functions. But UX designers can play, or usability professionals can play a vital role by advocating for the end user and being the glue that ties that whole enterprise system together and at the end provides value for the customer and the end user. Yeah.
For me, it's quite simple. You got to love people. You got to love the human experience. That's never going to change. And if you can stay focused on the user, who is the user? It's a human being. He's got a heart, a head, a soul. Think about that. I think that's the core attribute, the core skill that you have to have is to be empathetic towards the human condition.
As a psychologist, I can just underline that. The one thing that I would like to add is I think we need a business understanding, because we need, when we talk to C-level or whoever our stakeholders might be, we need to understand their perspective on everything in order to better argument what we do. I know it's common that we say we don't want to argue anymore why we have to do UX or usability, but still we have to do that at the moment. So having a business understanding is the second most important thing after understanding people.
I think this is one word, I think the one skill you need to have, and that's empathy. It was already mentioned. And I think empathy for end users, empathy for people you work with in an organization, the different layers that you're dealing with, stakeholders, I think that's the one thing, empathy.
I totally agree with empathy. And also I totally admire Hans and Joe's new book, The Magic Moment. That's the human experience. So I think the key thing for the new designer's challenge is how to combine the two. Because we're having more diverse and more, okay, so the previous kind of empathy we need to deal with, okay, is limiting. The villages were small. Right now, the whole world is the village. And you need to interact with, I don't know, billions of people now, right? Instead of hundreds in the previous village in the town. That's the population. So it's like the Newtonian way is a rule-based physics. But when you're dealing with billions of people, it's a molecular way. You're dealing with the air. So come back to Austria. Our famous scientist here, Ludwig Boltzmann, invented basically statistic mechanics. So he used probability to model the billions of molecules. Maybe the design interface should catch up with modern science. Instead of follow the rule-based thinking, we should go statistical, which is a shortcut to model. So in that way, we're actually likely can achieve empathy quicker. Because you don't need to go through the step 1, 2, 3 anymore. You're just directly between the observer and the user using probabilistic modeling. And in that case, probably the new designers need to learn a little bit about mathematics, probability in particular, information theory, etc. So that's my...
Can I build on top
of
that? Because what I liked, for me, it is connected to AI, which is very, very interesting, because I believe...
AI is probabilistic.
Yes, exactly. AI is probabilistic, and this is why we should not fear. So I take it away from usability and UX now and put it in the AI section. But I 100% agree in the area of AI, where we shouldn't fear AI, because AI is statistical and is not like humans with all these flaws and rule-based ideas that we can rule everything and that we foresee every possible case. So that is a positive way of looking at it. So taking away now the usability part of it and saying in general, AI technology will help our societies to trust probabilistic reasoning. And if we get that governed right, and if we have that in a way that we can all accept it as a community, then that will be a bright future, in my opinion.
I think that's totally the extension of the statement. And also, we need to use the designer skill to democratize mathematics, statistics included, as well as democratize scientific discoveries in the past century almost, which seems to be difficult through the natural language right now to explain. Hopefully we can design new interfaces for these really desirable knowledge right now to be easily accessible to everyone.
Last short.
I just want to pick up on something and just take a different thread on that. The idea of interface is what we do. I think this is where, in terms of an experience, we are going to be looking at things like zero interface, because interface is no longer what we're looking to do. And I think that's the next step, is like AI it's a chatbot, you're typing in there, it's text-based. How do we move beyond that, where you're not even tapping, you're not typing in, you're not talking, you're just interacting with the technology, with an experience in a way that isn't a keyboard, it's not a screen, it's not text. So I'm just sort of picking up on that. Sorry, I'm not sure if there were more questions.
But I want to agree with what you said and just connect it to what we do at SAP currently. And we have the terms app-less and no app. App-less, imagine like you will all go home and you do travel expense. So you can go to your system and do it all there. Or in the future, you have a assistant tool. And then you say, hey, just some questions. And then you get a card or a simple form like app-less experience where you put in all your expenses. And no app, in a way, would then be envisioned, I talked to Hannes, like if you would have a ticketing system. And in the future, like you could say, I do not need developers to do it, but I have agents that help me with it. And you create that app on the fly for the ticketing system. So very much like the train of thought that you were just proposing, where we say it's not UI, it's about the experience of you when you go home and when you do your travel expense. It's your experience that we as a design community need to make better, and we need to envision how this would be easier for you in the future to do such a task like travel expenses.
Thank you. Is there any urgent question right now? He was first. You can talk to the microphone.
I can take the microphone. Can you hear me? Okay. Hi, my name is Seth. Thank you for taking the time. I have a potential contentious statement to make and would love to get all of your take on that. So the question right now, which we are discussing, is like the future of UX, and I wonder if we should instead be discussing what are we doing to prepare and learn to be prepared for that future that is coming. And the reason behind asking the question is, like, if you look back and if you look forward, most of the future that has been defined and that has come, that evolution has mostly been organic, right? Like, things have happened to the discipline which we had to prepare for, and we had to, I mean, some of it has come because of maturity in companies and organizations, but a lot of the evolution has happened organically. Like, for example, AI is an organic evolution that is happening. And so when we think about learning to be prepared for the future, we think about knowledge sessions and we think about education. And one of the learning mechanisms we have is like conferences like these, or things that happen within our companies where we do brainstorming sessions and so on. But the argument, and this is the point where I'd love to get all your feedback, is I would argue that like a lot of these learning sessions are happening where we are almost like speaking into an echo chamber, right? Like, if you think about conferences, if you think about like organizations where we have these brainstorms and discussions, we are talking to people who have 1, 2, 3, 5, 10, 15, 30 years of experience who've already sort of like solved those challenges or know how to solve those challenges. And the argument I'm trying to make is like, shouldn't we be having these kinds of discussions with the workforce of tomorrow, like with early career professionals and with students, so we can really think about how do we elevate the discipline so that once they come into the workforce, they are asking better questions, which and really elevating the discipline, and not solving the same challenges we, like in this room, are solving 20 years into our careers, right? Like, shouldn't we be empowering them more to solve better and newer challenges? I don't know if that made sense or not, but just a thought.
How can we be prepared for the future? Go out and buy a crystal ball. Wow. None of us know what tomorrow's going to bring, and I mean, we can study, learn from the past, of course. I just say we have to stay open-minded and flexible. That's all you can do, unless you can get that crystal ball.
I would say the most important thing is to learn to ask questions, to reflect and to learn whom to ask, what to ask, and not just like sitting back and waiting for others to tell me what to do, but become proactive and think across disciplines if possible, and learn to ask critical questions. Because at the moment in our scholar systems, we are not teaching children to ask questions. We are teaching them to learn what we tell them that they have to know. And if they ask and ask again and again, then you're like, don't be such a nuisance, just learn this, what I told you. So we need to make the next generations ask questions more openly. That's mine.
Just to add something on that, I think looking at the future, having had lots of experience in doing what I'm doing, I only realize how little you know. Talking about how you can then move that to the next generation, I don't necessarily have a large team, but the people I have got are some junior people. What I do with them is I talk about, these are the key things I think that you should be looking at. This is where the things I think are moving forward. I don't necessarily spend my time going, this is the knowledge I've got, and try and impart what I've learned. I just say, well, these are the points that I think you need to be looking and picking up and going forward from here. And I think that's the key thing, because I don't have the answers for the future. I have an experience of what I know. What can we look at going forward? Pick up on those points.
I think that's a very, very interesting question we're asking about echo chamber. Usually, as an industrial designer, as my background training is, we like to analyze the problem, find out exactly what the problem of echo chamber is. So I asked this question about 30 years, okay? Because 30 years back, looking at a lot of the, for example, design theories, and when we actually practice design, we toss those design theories away. They're not really useful to use. And that also brings to the earlier statement I made, statistical, which seems to be a shortcut. And also reflect the actual mindset of the designer's working process. It's more open. But according to my, again, 30 years experience observing, it seems like is this mechanism of rewarding. We're building an incentive mechanism to reward echo chamber. The reward mechanism itself becomes the echo chamber. Large part of it could be contributed by the separation of different professions and in the economic sector. And that separation is actually part of the automation of our economy. And during the automation, we lose the integration and the connectivity, right? And so these modules, likely we have more computing power, we have AI, and also hopefully we have more conferences like this, more human experience. We can blur the discrete nature of different modules and bring back the larger context. So maybe that is a way to reduce the echo chamber feedback.
I just want to underpin it at the end, the whole idea of asking questions, because I think, if I remember it right, it was Joscha Bach of Chaos Computer Club in Germany. He quoted once, intelligence, or is the definition of intelligence is the ability to build models. And how to build a model, a mental model, you have to ask questions. So that is the most important thing. So what is the question? How can I understand the situation I'm in, be it a business context, be it a society context? And that is a key skill. I very much agree with you. That is what we need to learn in school as well. So because my 5-year-old, she's a true scientist. And when she goes through school, she's no longer a scientist, and that is a problem. We have to learn from our children to remain scientists and constantly ask questions.
Never stop being curious. That's what kids teach us.
Okay, next question.
Yeah, so thank you all for the discussion, and I have really thoughts about it. So you talk about the no app, and I think in the context of government, today we are moving to become or to have a one-stop shop of the government. And I believe the future is to have a no-stop shop approach. And this is done, I think, using the AI as an enabler. We all know that AI is not an objective, it's an enabler to have a more proactive services, especially in the government. So instead, if you're having, like, you need to apply for renewal of your identity, and a message that shows you that you need to renew. So it's more of a proactive, predictive services. AI conjunction with UX or CX, I believe for today we cannot really predict what will happen, but I believe we need all to focus that as a designer we need to fix a problem. So AI need to support. Maybe we will not use it today, but later it will help as an enabler to us. So do you have any vision when in the governmental sector, how the services in the future will become? For us, we're doing research today, but we need also insight from the expert like you.
Any idea?
I haven't. You want to start?
I think it's a really good point that you're making there about how you then move into that. I think there's the concept of having a super app, and there are these businesses out there saying what we want to do is we want to bring all our services together and have a single app and can do this, can sort out your whole life all in one app. Now, that seems like a great idea, and then you can have AI behind the scenes managing and orchestrating how that's going to get pulled together. The difficulty with that is you then trying to interact with this app, and everybody thinks of it, it's on a phone, and you've got tabs, and you've got buttons, and you've got different sections, you're going to go through it. And if we think about it in that way, it becomes really confusing. Who wants to live your whole life through one single app? And that's where I think the concept of a super app, yes, will exist, but it won't be an app. It won't exist, but it'll be there, and you won't interact with it in that way. It would be an AI agents that exist that will then make the decisions for you. You will have given them power to make these decisions, to run and manage and feed it to you. And where it's not all going to pop up an app, it might be through a text message, it might through a voice message or something else. So yes, a super app will exist, but equally it won't exist as we envisage it as today. That the AI will bring together those experiences. So our ways of looking at things in terms of designing it isn't in it in terms of the interface. It's in terms of the experience that someone had. So user experience will be there, but interface design, how you interface isn't necessarily going to be visual. So that's where I think things will move to. How we transition from where you are today into that's for us to figure out and discover.
What I believe, this morning Daria gave a talked about Amazon and Miro and legacy systems. And if you look at it, we can also say the ones I know, the Western societies are also a bit of legacy systems. So we have democracy, and at the same time, while it's like democracy creates bureaucracy that works as design, everything is perfect basically, but bureaucracy also is a threat for us if we do not overcome the inability of our systems to execute and to get work done and to support the people. And AI, in my opinion, can help with that. And I have a vision. Assume like Joe and I would be neighbors, and we have a tree. And now the tree is going on your side. So, and we meet for beer like we always do every Thursday. And then we say, seriously, I have an issue with the tree. And I say, yes, but I think the tree has the right to be there. And envision this. We would put our iPhones on the desk and we would simulate 5 years of legal whatever happens there. And then, because we both trust our system, it comes back and says, you won or I won, and then I said, you won in that case, and said, okay, then I pay for the beers. And that is something, wouldn't it be a beautiful future, basically, where we say we let AI help us to overcome these bureaucracy hurdles, because we have bureaucracy rightfully. That is democracy, that is lobbyism, that is there for a reason, basically. We cannot just delete it, so it is there for a reason, but we need better tools to come to conclusions with dealing with bureaucracy, in my opinion. Yeah.
Can I add something here?
Short answer.
Okay.
Yes. Short answer.
I think the engineers need to build better models, of course, but training is an interface for the model building. Beyond that, I think the traditional interface design have a significant role to play as well. And so if we come back to the idea of statistical interface, we actually has been using statistical interface all the time. One perfect example is the speedometer on a car. It's actually probability, same as many of our other instruments. So we are used to that, right? So we just need a new interpretation what statistical probability means in the cognitive as well as linguistic context. That is probably one. Another is multi-user. It's not always the win-losing situation. And I have a story to tell. So one of the school council have a meeting, and they were They were talking about the safety of the pedestrian traffic in front of the school. They were praying, asking, pleading for a stop sign. But if a designer come to think about it, it's likely the way we reroute the traffic will leading to safety for everyone as well as convenience. So I think the designer have a tremendous role here to play for analyzing a problem for everyone, and that should contribute to the democracy.
Okay, thank you. We have one last question.
Okay, yes. Yeah, that actually fits. We're talking about interfaces all the time. We're talking about AI the whole day with bad examples, really, really bad things. And you said it's an airbrush tool. You compared it to an airbrush tool, and I think, yeah, well, it's a tool. And as I sit here, I think, well, no, it's actually not only a tool. There's actually more to it because there's a certain danger. And we, all of our people sitting around here, are the gatekeepers of the interfaces. So we make things accessible for everyday users everywhere around the world. And my question to all of you, and actually to everybody here, is think about it. What is our responsibility in embracing AI and letting everybody use it? And when should we stand up against stakeholders or people who say, use it all the time, we got to make money? When shall we stay up and say, well, think about it. This can also be dangerous.
I would say it's each individual situation and each individual project that we are in that we have to decide where we take the responsibility to say no to some things, if I get your question right. And when it comes to like educating people how much energy AI needs, when it comes to dark patterns, which we introduce, unfortunately, in AI also. So I think we will not solve this globally. Each one of us has to be responsible in their work as far as possible, because we all know that sometimes it's really heavy to decide against things. And hopefully many of us will have a good impact then. But I don't think we will have it on a global basis, because like we have the Dark Pattern Act in the EU. Has it changed something at the moment? Not really. So.
Yeah, just a short answer to that. I think that, because I work in a technology consultancy, and so AI, like this, everybody's like, yeah, we love it. Where can we put this? And we've got clients coming to us, where can we use it? It isn't always needed. One of the things that we are looking and doing is making sure that when we are implementing it, we are looking at guardrails, the ethical part of it. That's a key part of what you need to do. It can't be down to just us as, well, we the UX side of things, we need to be the ones doing that. There has to be built into that. If you're looking at these systems, you're looking at the ethics of it, of are you doing the right place? Are you using the right data in the right way? That you need to have a framework in order to do that, so that you're not just looking at the user part of it, the data part, the technical part, the business part. You've also got an ethical strand that gets tied into it. So I think that's a critical thing that needs to be brought into it. We can be part of it, but I don't think it's our responsibility as UX to be the ones doing that.
Actually, I like to use this opportunity to provide one way of probably newly interpret dark pattern. I think that's a sort of contradiction of incentive between either the company and the customer, right? But there might be a way to use a new kind of logical thinking to analyze the algorithm, defining what each party's interests are in. Can we reroute the traffic of the interests to have no confrontation? So I'd like invite everyone to search basically my name, and I have a paper talk about that. And I seem to have one example that might be possible. So,
Any answer?
I'm good.
Then I have one last question before we stop for today. Imagine it's 2035, now in 10 years. How do you vision this future? What are we doing there with the humanoid robotics, with AI, with all technologies coming? Or what is your wish how this future will look like?
I hope we're all sitting here in Austria having these kinds of conversations. I'm an optimist. I'm hoping that, you know, it seems like we're in a dark time, but I mean, history's taught us, you know, we go through these cycles, and I believe in, you know, human nature, and that there is good in everybody, and that good will bubble up. But again, I want to be back here in 10 years having these conversations again.
So I'm next then. Okay. So I believe that, and again, I go back to my children, that expression and art, basically, that is something that we will pursue. So if I look at that double diamond in problem space and solution space, so be a true scientist, ask the questions, and then go out and make things. So become artistic, and I hope that in the future, many people are artists, basically, and technology is just helping us to become better artists, in a way.
Oh, I like that. Yes, I also kind of envision that we've gotten used to using AI. It will make us maybe making better diagnosis in medicine in some part, but there will be no hazard about it. Yeah, we use it as any other things, and maybe we find more time for leisure times and just work less a bit, some part of the country maybe, or the world, and have more time to spend with family and friends. That would be nice.
If I can provide a slightly more detailed vision of 10 years from now, if we look at the large language model as a mean of publishing, just like the printing press or typewriter, maybe 10 years from now...
Your heart.
Yes.
Sing your heart.
That is my technical heart.
Oh, I want to have a feeling
technical
heart.
part of it. Because we need a mechanism to express, right? So I'd like to use this example. I think 10 years from now, Joe and Hannes will publish a new book with a language model based instead of on paper.
That won't happen. That won't happen.
That might happen if it's a new way of printing press. It's the way we build it, right? It's a way to express ideas. Why not? And maybe that could be a better way, a more peaceful way. So,
Guy.
I think 10 years from now, we want to be doing something like this, where you can then look back, have a retrospective. What did we do 10 years ago in 2025? Because you would want to be doing this, because isn't this something which is we're using our brains, our intellect, our humanity to connect? So this is the future.
Thank you so much. Thank you for these last words. This is the future. We are the future. You all are the future, because we design the future for everyone outside there. So thank you for today. Thank you for all of you. Joe, Nico, Marina, Lance, and Guy.